Fairy tale villains don't live in castles. They live in offices, in families, in friendships. That's why they haunt us. In Part 1, we explored fear. In Part 2, we uncover the real psychology behind fairy tale villains and why they feel so disturbingly real. Fairy tale villains aren't monsters, they're human traits taken to the extreme, without any limits. Imagine jealousy without restraint, pride without humility, or desire without a conscience. That's what makes them unforgettable. Let's meet them, one by one. First, the evil stepmother. She isn't just evil. She's driven by comparison. Her core psychological trait is chronic jealousy combined with power. She doesn't hate goodness itself, she hates being outshined. In real life, she might look like a relative who constantly competes with children, or a manager who actively suppresses the talent on their team. These are people who punish innocence simply because it makes them feel inferior. When jealousy gets mixed with authority, it turns into cruelty. Next up, the evil queen from Snow White. She isn't truly obsessed with Snow White, she's obsessed with being admired. Her psychological trait is a narcissistic dependence on validation. Her magic mirror is just an old-fashioned version of today's social media, public approval, and the constant pressure of comparison. She fears aging, being replaced, and becoming invisible. That deep-seated insecurity is what fuels her obsession, and her obsession is what fuels her evil. Then we have the master manipulator, the big bad wolf. He never attacks openly. His psychological trait is predatory manipulation. He lies, he disguises himself, he works to earn your trust, and then he completely destroys it. This resonates with us because we recognize the pattern: fake friends, emotional manipulators, and people who exploit kindness. Our brains are hardwired to remember deception because it's a survival instinct. Let's talk about Cinderella's stepmother. She doesn't need to scream to be terrifying. She controls. Her psychological trait is authoritarian dominance. She creates dependence, withholds affection, and punishes silently, often through neglect or passive aggression. In real life, this looks like a toxic boss, an emotionally abusive guardian, or anyone who disguises control as care. This quiet, subtle cruelty is often the most damaging because it's so hard to identify and escape. And what about the witch from Hansel and Gretel? This villain doesn't scare her victims, she tempts them. Her method is pleasure-based manipulation. She offers sweet promises and easy rewards, all while hiding immense danger. The modern parallels are everywhere: addictions, get-rich-quick scams, and toxic relationships that feel amazing at first. This teaches us that temptation can be far more dangerous than outright fear. Now for Rumpelstiltskin, the contract villain. He never forces anyone to do anything. His psychological trait is exploitative bargaining. He waits until you're desperate, then he offers you help, but always with a hidden, terrible price. The real-life version of this is the predatory lender, the manipulative helper who always expects something in return, or people who find ways to profit from your weakness. He teaches a terrifying lesson: not all help is a form of kindness. Let's not forget Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. Gaston isn't ugly or monstrous, he's admired by the whole town. His psychological profile is fragile masculinity combined with a deep sense of entitlement. He genuinely believes that his popularity makes him virtuous, that his strength makes him a leader, and that admiration is the same as love. The moment he's rejected, his fragile ego completely collapses and turns violent. We all recognize this type, the person whose arrogance is just a mask for deep insecurity. Pride absolutely hates rejection. Then there's Jafar from Aladdin. Jafar doesn't want love or admiration, he wants absolute control. His psychological traits are a severe power obsession rooted in an inferiority complex. He feels overlooked, undervalued, and small on the inside. So, he seeks ultimate dominance to silence that inner voice of insecurity. In the real world, these are the power-hungry leaders and the manipulators hiding behind a title people who crave control far more than they crave respect. Power is often just a tool used to hide profound weakness. From witches to tyrants, the pattern becomes crystal clear. These villains all fear irrelevance, they crave control, they act out of a wounded sense of pride, and they find ways to justify their own cruelty. They don't see themselves as evil. In their own minds, they believe they're right. And that conviction is what makes them so dangerous and so unforgettable. So why do these villains stick with us? Sometimes, even longer than the heroes. Heroes inspire us, but villains warn us. They remain in our stories because the human flaws they represent never disappear. Our technology changes, but our psychology doesn't. If you want to see part 3, where we'll reveal the surprising reason why some villains feel more honest than heroes, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Because fairy tales aren't just about magic, they're mirrors reflecting the darkest parts of ourselves.